Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Batman issue 9, written by Matt Fraction, with art by Ryan Sook, colours by Tormo Mori, and letters by Clayton Cowles. Operation Peregrine gets underway as Bruce calls a meeting of the Bat family, telling them of a plan that he and Barbara came up with. Bruce tells them that Vandal Savage is coming for them now and he has the approval of Mayor Isley, and they'll shoot on sight if they see them. Because of this and how well organised they are, Bruce knows that they are going to lose this battle, but what the family's mission will be is to save what they can, with each member getting a wish list of items they cannot risk falling into GCPD or Vandal's hands. Honestly, this is such a cool way to take the whole wanted storyline. It's not just the heroes trying to hide or like being hunted. I'm sure that's going to happen, and it kind of is in this issue, but I like the idea that they all just like rushing around, just kind of shoring up their assets. I'm sure that's something that Bruce learned being a billionaire. Bruce knows he can't win either, which is quite cool, and this very un-Batman-like, because Batman's always, he has a plan for everything, and he has a plan here, but it's also one that requires him to trust a lot of other people, something Batman very rarely does. And also just getting almost the entire Bat family, especially Duke, involved in this, and Duke having a big role is really quite cool. It's always a shame when people forget that he's a member of the Bat family. He was a Robin once, so I like that when an artist and a writer bring him into the fold and actually have some cool stuff for him to do in an issue. Bruce tells the family that he doesn't plan on really fighting back against Vandal, since that would just prove Vandal is right and might look like the family is committing violence, so instead they are just going to hide assets everywhere they can. Bruce tells Damian to run defensive interference for the family, while Oracle will coordinate with them about where they should go and where the GCPD are. The team suit up and head out into the city, spreading out to the various bat bunkers, grabbing what they can, and what they can't, they activate the poison pills, which either burns the sensitive documents or floods the bunkers with corrosive acid. The Order of Saint Dumas, meanwhile, have agreed to help hide some of the family's things, like bat suits, Batmobiles, and various other things, with Azrael watching over them. Bruce meanwhile tells the family that he'll be off on his own mission, wishing the team good luck and hopes they don't get caught. As he looks over the Gotham map, Alfred has concerns about Damian, but Bruce doesn't have time for that, something which Alfred scoffs at, since Bruce's deficiencies as a parent are not his fault. And Damian doesn't know how to fail because Bruce never modeled that for him, since if he did, Batman wouldn't be infallible. I really love this whole ghost Alfred Bruce's consciousness thing that Matt Fraction is using to have Bruce reckon with the idea that he's raising Damian probably not in a very healthy way, and it's something that's not been good for both of them. This is how Bruce is kind of processing that. He's got Alfred there in his mind telling him he's doing the wrong thing. It's just really his consciousness that has taken the form of Alfred, that is telling him he needs to be better. He needs to do better. And yeah, Damian did mess up, but so did Bruce. It speaks a lot for the character having undergone so much growth, especially under Chip Zdarsky, because this would be something that he would just bury deep down and not really acknowledge until he had a plan for it. He had, prep time for it. But this is something he cannot really prepare for. Bruce knows as Batman he must be infallible, but Alfred reminds Bruce that Batman isn't Damian's father, Bruce Wayne is, and all Damian did was make a mistake, and then in anger Bruce made one too. But now it's time for him to show his son that he is going to learn from his mistake as well. Bruce finds it hard to raise Damian alone, and Alfred understands, but he remembers something that he once heard Jason say to him, "Nut up, Buttercup." Bruce does just that, meeting Damian and deciding to swap missions with him. And upon learning what his mission will be, Damian asks why, but all Bruce will say to him is that he needs to trust the plan and he'll tell him when he is done. Batman and Robin head out into the city as elsewhere. Oracle directs the rest of the family into where to go next, with Batgirl diverting from the plan slightly in order to take down some of Vandal's goons that were setting up a roadblock. Tim Drake, meanwhile, happily sets his and Bernard's table in their apartment when he hears the cops outside. He briefly thinks about the family, but snaps back to his reality with Bernard. I can almost guarantee you that Tim will be making a comeback somewhere in this book. He'll come in, third act, Vandal thinks he's got him all beat, and the Robin will be there to help out, the smart Robin. the one who's a genius. So I'm intrigued to see how that's going to play out. And also I think, Tim's going to be getting some solo stuff a little later on. He's definitely coming back. It's the same with like Joker, and I love what Fraction has been doing where he gives you like little tastes of these characters under him. First it was Tim, then it was the Joker, and then they go away for a little bit and aren't part of the story until you're asking, I kind of wish that character had come back, and then he'll bring him back, and you just feel a sense of like reward for that because they've been gone for so long. You're excited to see them, and that's exactly what's going to be happening with Tim. Signal, meanwhile, is chased by some of the GCPD wanting to use his metahuman powers to blind them. But Oracle warns him off of it, since if he uses his powers, it could look like they are escalating the situation and Vandal would call in federal response. I never thought about it like that, like, good on Fraction for using Signal in that way. Signal is the only guy in the Bat family with metahuman powers, and he just can't use them willy-nilly to get out of situations because that would just escalate everything, and it would turn Gotham into a huge federal war zone. So I like that they're thinking about that, thinking 2 steps ahead. I am hoping that we do get to see him use his powers, because it does often feel like people do forget that he is a metahuman after all. So I would like to see Signal unleash his powers at some point though. The GCPD open fire on Signal, and Oracle works to try and find him a route of escape while also helping Batgirl get another bunker, since the GCPD found the one that she was heading for. Luckily, Batman has come to give Duke some backup, taking out the gunner on the truck following him before activating the Bat Bollards, causing the truck to slam hard into them and taking them out of action, allowing Signal to escape. Again, more really awesome Bat gadgets that this book has up its sleeve. It's really fun when Batman turns Gotham into his own gadget, and I just love the idea of him secretly installing all of these bollards around town. Like, how did he do that? How did he get them? Did he pretend to be like Night Road Works or something, like seal off part of a road to install them? Did he install them underground and they burst out of the asphalt? And I also just like the idea that because of that, it's going to annoy Vandal even more, because as Oracle puts it, Vandal is now probably going to start tearing up the asphalt because of all of these tricks and traps that Batman has laid throughout the city. So he's going to cause even more unrest in the city, which will then turn people against him. The team get on with their mission as Robin places charges around a building's infrastructure, and Batgirl arrives at Bunker 8, which she finds has already been cleared out. Oracle realizes it's a trap, finding the GCPD are bearing down on Batgirl. Barbara knows that it's time, and Bruce understands as she turns off the Oracle Scrambler, delivering her final broadcast as Vandal orders all his men to converge on the signal. Barbara tells the family that it's been an honor to serve them, and she hopes she'll see them all again, but until then, she wants them all to stay in the dark. The officers about to raid Batgirl's position stop and return to their truck as a huge team converge on Oracle's watchtower, arresting Barbara. So this is the setup to the Barbara Gordon breakout book that is out now, and it's how she ends up in prison and being thrown into the jail. The cops also finding out that Barbara Gordon was Oracle might have some huge ramifications, just not because, they'll figure out, is Jim Gordon's daughter, stuff for Jim Gordon, but also the people she associates with. They could easily deduce who like Batman, Robin, Nightwing, and all those people are, just from knowing who Barbara Gordon is. So the Bat family are in a bit more trouble, and it doesn't even stop at the Bat family, because like once you figure out some of these other heroes, you could probably figure out like most of the superhero community. It's a huge problem, and Batman being so chill about it makes me think that there is a bigger plan in motion, and maybe this was part of it. Maybe Barbara going to jail was all part of the plan. Robin finishes his mission and meets with Batman, joining him on a grassy hill above the city. Sitting with his son, Bruce tells him that he had years to figure this all out on his own, but then Damian came around and that all went out the window. Damian apologizes for destroying everything, but Bruce knows that none of his plans before Damian even matter, and he didn't destroy anything. He apologizes for not being the father Damian deserves, but he's learning, and now that it's both of them now, it's all that matters. I really like that, both Bruce and Damian admitting that they were wrong in what they did and wanting to learn from their mistakes. That's some proper progress, especially with Bat family members who love pushing things down, throwing up walls, all that sort of stuff. Makes me hopeful Damian might actually start to grow as a character and decide to move on with his life and actually maybe even find a life outside of being Robin. Like maybe he decides to go to college or do something with his life that doesn't involve him wearing a domino mask. Bruce tells him to push the button, and we find out that the bombs Robin was placing were all through Wayne Manor. And as the button is pressed, the bombs go off, blowing the entire manor up. Now I know a lot of people got really angry at Matt Fraction for this, but this is like the, I want to say, 5th, 6th, 7th time that the Wayne Manor has blown up. Like, it's been destroyed quite a number of times, and in saying that, it was not the Wayne Manor anymore, it was Vandal's Manor. It hasn't been Wayne Manor in a very long time, and we've had stories where Bruce has found a new home. He's found Pennyworth Manor, something that means a lot more to him than his parents' home, and while that was, you know, his life and home for many decades, he has evolved, he has grown as a character. So I kind of like the idea that he is finally moving away from the manor. I'm sure the manor will come back once Vandal goes. They'll rebuild. It'll be something really big and awesome. And then, you know, the cycle will continue. It'll get destroyed or taken over or something again. And then we're back again. And it's just the big cycle that comic books always are. In the aftermath of the raids, Oracle is paraded out in front of the news, which details how they found many different locations the Batman may have been using to conduct his operations, filled with arms, material, computer equipment, all stuff that Vandal plans on going through. I do like how they kind of perp war Barbara here, and it's very clear that while we saw her a couple of pages ago actually give up, that these cops have actually roughed her up quite a fair bit. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to lead her. You know, obviously she goes to jail and what her role is in jail, because I think there's something there where like Bruce would have seen that coming, and getting her in jail is probably going to free a bunch of prisoners who Vandal put there wrongly, or like find some sort of evidence maybe against her. But as I said before, the news mentions like obviously Jim Gordon is her father, so that's going to come back to affect him, and it's probably going to come back to affect a lot of other heroes, since they should be able to figure out who all these other heroes are, unless Vandal does not want to do that, in which case I would find that a bit of a cop-out. I'd like to see him try and out the identity of most of the Bat family, because as I said, you have Barbara Gordon, who's like center to a lot of these characters' lives, so you can easily piece it together. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Fraction's going to do in this Bad Seeds event, and what's going to be happening over in Barbara Gordon Breakout. Batman issue 9 upped the ante on the Vandal Savage storyline, and the Bat family are now all fractured and separated with very little assets, with very little tools to allow them to do their job properly now. The chaos of the issue and, you know, the team just frantically trying to shore up all of their assets and gather what they can before Vandal is able to take it was great. I loved the urgency and the tenseness of it all. I love that Duke got a big part in the issue. I love that he had an active role in helping the Bat family. I think a lot of writers often forget that Duke is a character. Fraction also used this as a chance to dive back into the Damian Bruce dynamic and what their relationship is now, and I like the evolution that we went through over the last couple of issues, with the Damian learning that he made a mistake, Bruce also learning that he made a mistake, and then both kind of making up here and deciding to move forward with the knowledge that they both made mistakes and they're learning from it. I think it shows development for both those characters, and I'm hoping that continues through Bad Seeds. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10.